What's up, guys? Welcome to the Crypto Savvy channel. I'm Craig. We're going to be going over a lot of charts. We're going to go over the Dow Jones, a lot of stuff in there. We're going to go over Bitcoin, of course. But before we begin, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up. Leave your comments down below. We're going to take a look now at a video I made last week of the range we've been watching for approximately 3 to 4 weeks now. Going to see where that's looking and tell you what I was talking about last video. Let's see how it plays out, but let's get into it. Okay, so this is where we talked about where to put stop losses, right? We'll talk about that in a minute, and then we'll go over this chart again. Also, we're going to take a look at some very interesting details on the Dow Jones Industrial, where I believe we're in a 100-year cycle, and there's some other things that are pointing to that. So, but first, let's watch this video. Last few days, obviously, we're just ranging in this zone right now, but again, I believe this is a good place to short. Obviously, put your stops up above the high here. I do. So right there where I talked about putting your stops above the high, let's talk about that. All right, for those of you that are bullish, watch any of my previous videos. We talked about the possibility for new highs somewhere in the between 75 and 80 range if the Wyckoff distribution phase plays out one of them. So definitely check those videos out if you want to see the bullish case scenario. We're going to focus on the bearish here. So anyways, this was our short zone, right? And I had talked about putting your stops right at this old high, and where was that? Right around 72,000, and we did not break it. So if you did get in a short, and at the time of that last video, it was around 71,000. But you would still be in a nice short position where if you would like, made a big enough drop, take some profits off the table, or maybe take your initial investment out. Your initial investment of the short, obviously. But if we drop below this and start opening and closing 4 hours above this 69,000 range, I would definitely probably most likely remain in the shorts. But again, none of this is financial advice. Always do your own research. Never invest more than you're willing to lose. But let's take a look at those low targets as long as we don't break these highs up here and start opening and closing dailies above it. My first target here, looking at this as a big third wave, this being 5 waves of wave 3, getting us down to these levels. Our first point to look for a bounce would be around this 57 to 58K range if this does play out, right? But the bigger picture gets us all the way down to around that 34. And before you start saying, we're talking about 3,500 to 9,500. I still believe that's a very good possibility. My timing has been off on that, but whose timing is right on the market, right? But nevertheless, all of that won't matter. If you're holding and this does happen to crash, you're probably going to be in a pretty bad spot. So anyways, let's take a look at the big picture. But before we do, if you guys are interested in trading, definitely check out the link down below, Prime XBT. You can get up to a $7,000 trading bonus to use towards your margin. Also 25% off your trading fees by using my link. And I do post on Twitter every now and again a series of numbers and letters that you can put in your promo code section on Prime XBT with my link, and that will get you a $200 account, so you can go ahead and start a Prime account. You don't have to deposit any money, and once I post that, the first person to use that code gets a $200 bonus for free that you don't have to have a deposit for. You can trade that $200 and keep whatever you make off of it. All right, now let's take a look at the Dow Jones. Great Depression over here on the right, right? This is why I believe we're in a 100-year cycle. And I've said it over and over, we could still go up higher. But nevertheless, I think we're very close to the top, if not topped. Now, a 100-year cycle, right? So if we take a look at the high over here back in 1929, that was 385. If we times that by 100, we went over that a little bit at 40,000. But then let's take a look at these highs, these lows, and lower lows, right? This one was at 11.9, the high. 111 here at the high over here, 100 years ago, right? And then we look at the 68, right? 66 for the low. And then we had the high at 121. And this one didn't go quite as high as that, obviously, but we still made a higher high at 14. And then back down to 6,400 right here. And we had 64 there. Times all these by 1,000. This seems to be playing out almost identical, right, in a bigger picture. But what happened after that? We had a this was a, let's see how big that correction was. And people that don't think that can happen again, just be careful. You don't have to, expect that it's going to happen for sure, but this is something you want to keep in your playbook as a possibility, because this could get very ugly very quickly, and it could stay ugly for quite some time. Now let's take a look at that. What was that? Approximately a 90% correction in the market. Does that have to happen again? It does not have to happen again. If we have a regular typical recession, we may see 20 to 30% to the downside. But if we do have a Great Depression style crash, which I believe is a big possibility because we are in a huge debt bubble, all markets are in a bubble in my opinion. Bubbles tend to go higher than some people think, but nevertheless, the ending is ultimately the same in bubbles, ending in a huge, huge loss. So just be careful out there if you guys are bullish. Let's get into our next chart. All right, in this chart, we're going to take a look at the Amazon.com bubble on the left compared to the Bitcoin crypto bubble on the right. I do believe it is a big bubble. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think this is a bubble and it already has began to pop? Do you think it's going to pop, or do you think it's just not a bubble? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's take a look at what happened in the .com bubble, right? We had our three highs in Amazon. You can see the similarities in this chart. You made a high, your low, your high, then a lower low. Same thing here. You had your high, your low, your high, and a lower low, even though this one went much lower. But nevertheless, this could be our top here. That's not to say we can't get that Wyckoff distribution and get one more high. But keep in mind, this could definitely be the top here. And what happened after this? There was a 95% correction, right? If that was to happen again, that could get Bitcoin as low as 35 to 3,700. Now, again, it doesn't have to go that low. I still see some major support around 97. That's why I've said for the last 3 years that the bottom of this, the Bitcoin bottom would be somewhere between 35 and 9,700. I still believe that to be true. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But nevertheless, this is what I'm looking for. I still believe this is a good possibility. Now, I know a lot of people think that it's impossible, but if you think anything is impossible in these markets, they're probably going to wreck you. So be cautious and be careful, and always, be ready for the opposite of what you believe or what everybody is telling you to believe, right? Just be ready. That's all I got to say about that. Let's take a look at a few more charts real quick. We're going to take a look at gold and silver. I'm going to give you my view on that, because anyone that's been around through let's say through a recession, everything falls in the recession. People say buy gold, but gold falls. Gold usually falls a little bit less than the traditional markets, but the same thing. They tell you to buy silver, buy gold, and now it's buy Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is a lot more speculative than gold and silver, right? So when the markets crash, those things crash right along with it. And if the more speculative it is, the harder it will fall. That's not to say that it's the end all be all and Bitcoin dies. What it is saying is that it will fall most likely much more than the market. So be careful out there. Let's take a look at these charts. For those of you that are following along, please hit 1. Let me know if you're following along. Also, let me know what you think. Do you think the markets have much higher to go, or do you think they are topped or close to the top? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know if there's any other stocks you would like to look at, and I'll take a look at them and possibly throw them on the next video. So let me know. But anyway, as in gold, I think this is possibly a 5-wave finished count. Could the 5th wave go higher? Absolutely. But if if the markets have topped out, then I believe gold is topped out too. And you may be seeing an ABC correction that nobody would believe where it would go. But if you guys know anything about Elliott wave, this is the macro, and the wave 2, this would all be a wave 1. This ABC correction would be a wave 2, right? Usually ends up around the wave 4 or the wave 1 of the first wave, which this would be right in between, also being the golden pocket zone, possibly as low as $1,000 or less. Is that a guarantee? Nothing's a guarantee in the markets, guys, but you need to be prepared for this stuff either way. And what are you doing? Let me know what you're doing with your funds. Are you getting into bonds? Are you getting into gold and silver? Are you getting into cash? Let me know that also in the comments. Let's take a look at silver. So here's the silver chart, right? Looks like we have been forming a wedge right here, which could be the A. A wedge is usually B, right? If this is the end of the wedge, we could be seeing much lower lows. Those of you that watch my channel and have been watching for the last few years, I've been calling for gold to get, or silver to get lower before this whole bottoming process is over. So let me know again in the comments, where are you putting your money? Where do you feel safe? Do you think the markets are going to go a lot higher? Are you comfortable with your 401k? Do you think that's going to last, right, for your retirement, and it's going to be not in shambles? If you guys were around, which a lot of the people in the crypto space are very young and they just don't understand what happens in a market crisis like the great financial crisis. Seen people's 401ks drop 40, 50, 60% in their retirement. They were not able to retire as they thought they were going to be able to. Did it come back? Yes, way later, but that didn't help them when their portfolios in their 401ks were crushed, which I believe is going to be happening again. I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts below. Don't forget, smash that thumbs up, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, and if you are subscribed and haven't been getting notifications, unsubscribe, resubscribe, or just make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you tick that notification bell to get you notified when I post new videos. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one.